Less than 24 hours, Georgians will be under a shelter-in-place order.
McDonald, though, said he did not know the man was handcuffed and was trying to use his foot to pin him to the ground so he could be handcuffed.
If your friends, neighbors, or local organizations are not complying, report them to us.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Free Georgia Podcast, final episode of 2025. My name is Jake Green, here with Cat Hartley, my new co-host. Cat, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. How did you feel? Happy holidays. How did you feel about your introduction to the Free Georgia Podcast during 2025?
I was honestly surprised that I was able to be a part of it, honestly.
Yeah, because you're so new to the LP Georgia.
Yeah, exactly. I literally just became a member this year. So
yeah,
I'm happy to be able to be a part of it.
I will say, I mean, not very many people want to be part of this side of the party. So it was a delight that you came along and are so willing to help us with this, because now that I live in Montana, I'm definitely not as plugged in with the Georgia stuff, and it's nice to have somebody who still lives there and wants to talk about it. So really appreciate it. Let's see, in 2025, how many episodes did we do? Trying to remember. I think we did something like 30 episodes in 2025, maybe 25. So maybe every other week we did an episode. So today we're going to be going over some of the reels and clips and comments from folks who commented on a bunch of the episodes and things like that. And we're going to be addressing them. And but before we do that, go over to lpgeorgia.com. Learn more about the Libertarian Party of Georgia. If you don't live in Georgia, go to lp.org, find your state affiliate and get involved in some way, or just check out what they do in their state. Free Georgia Podcast is mainly focused on small businesses, people who have been affected by the government in negative ways, which is almost every way that you can be affected by the government is negative. So that's kind of what we focus on. We focus on a lot of small businesses, a lot of very personal stories, and we try to shed some light on those and get more attention for those issues around the state. So, Kat, what was your favorite episode that you were co-host for?
I really liked the episode with Oscar and Julie talking about the EMFs and other ways to kind of like not diagnose yourself, but like track your own health and do it in a way where you're not relying just on like a doctor and a diagnosis and pills.
100%. Yeah, that's a great episode. Those two are, I mean, Julie came to the Great Create. I was not expecting her to be as animated and like passionate and ready to rock as she was. She was you had to leave before that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I was very like not happy about that.
Yeah, she was awesome. Super passionate about that. Super passionate about like learning how your body functions, and because everybody's very specific, and learning what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what you may be at risk for, what you may not be at risk for, that kind of stuff. And Oscar Sierra is the doctor in Sandy Springs that is phenomenal with that. In fact, he's mine and my wife's personal doctor now. So that's how good he is.
Yeah, you're in Montana, so that's the crazy. You don't come down here, right, to see him, do you?
We do telehealth, and then when needed, we come back to Atlanta every now and then because my wife still works in this film world down there. So we'll see him whenever we're down there. But outside of that, we do telehealth stuff, and then we get tests done from doctors up here. But he reads the tests and diagnoses and all that kind of stuff. So Yeah, highly recommend y'all check out his website, along with literally every other person we've interviewed. Has been fantastic this year. I really enjoyed Ike Skelton, the flock camera guy from was it Indiana? I think it was. That was episode 88, What the Flock, with Ike Skelton. He is fighting hard to get the flock cameras removed from his county, and he is the county chair of the county government there. So he removed them, then he got sued by the federal government. So that was a very interesting story. Yeah. Well, should we get into the PowerPoint that you've prepared for us?
Yes. So I made a PowerPoint. I made a PowerPoint of the top 5 clips that we've had that have had like thousands of views. They're probably the most interesting that we've had, with some of the most interesting guests we've had.
Sweet. All right. Well, let's watch the first one and talk about it. When they took you off to jail, was anybody home to look after the kids?
No. Let me point out something really important. When they dropped Soren off back home, they left him at home the same way I did, with my dad downstairs and no other adult in the house. That's exactly how I left him. So that's honestly one of the most baffling things to me, is I'm getting arrested for the same thing that the officers did when they brought him home.
Goodness gracious. So that was Brittany Patterson. She was arrested for allowing her kid to walk into town, in a one stoplight town, mind you, tiny little town in North Georgia. She was arrested for allowing him to do that. She was arrested for child endangerment. I believe she's now suing the local government there, because what they did was completely illegal. And then to top it all off, they brought the kid back home and then left the kid in the exact same situation that she left him in. And the irony there is astounding. Yeah. What were your thoughts on that whole case? Did you watch that full episode? Because that was a long one, and that was earlier in the year.
Yeah, I watched. I mean, I made that clip. I made the clips that I posted on social media. But yeah, no, I was very sad that I wasn't a part of that episode, because she had a lot of, great things to say, and pointing out the ridiculousness of the whole situation.
Yeah, I mean, how old was he? I forget how old the kid was at the time. I think he was.
He's like 8.
Yeah, 9 or 10, something like that. So he was
10. Yeah,
he was well old enough to just walk down it wasn't even a busy road. He just walked into their little town and hung out in the town, and was going to go back home, but then got picked up by the cops and by the local sheriff and taken home. And then they left him in the exact same scenario that she left him in.
It's crazy. It got such like huge national attention too.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know why that is, because there's got to be much crazier stories that happen each year. I think it was the Proposity. Is that the word? Proposity?
That sounds good.
As soon as it came out of my mouth, it didn't sound like a word.
Preposterousness? See, that wouldn't be it either.
Preposterousness? Whatever that word is the one I'm looking for. So I think it was just the absurdity of the situation, where nothing happened to the kid. No one was harmed. The kid wasn't in any danger. And it was in a tiny little town. If your kid is not safe to walk around a small town in small town America, and is going to be picked up by the cops and taken home, then what's the point of living in small town America? Like that's why so many people go there, so their kids can roam free and do what they want to do, and have a more have a less strict and more what's the right word? Free, sure, more free life.
Freedom.
Freedom. So yeah, that was a great That was a great episode. That was I forget which episode that was. Let me pull
It
it
was
up.
more in the beginning of the year. I think it was like in like March or April.
Yeah.
I
It was
mean, the biggest thing that I've like thought about with that is how like parenting now and parenting like 50 years ago has changed a lot. Like my
mhm,
grandma used to talk about all the time how like during the day, like on the weekends or in the summer, like her mom would just kick her out of the house and lock the door and
yeah.
she'd be gone until the street lights went off, you know? So the
Yeah.
expectation now is that you have to have your child like next to you 24/7. You can't leave them, you know, or else you're a bad parent. Because like, what if
Yeah.
they, you know, do this or what if they, you know, fall or get hurt or this, and that?
Do you realize how many times I got hurt as a kid growing up because my parents weren't there to keep me from like falling flat on my face or riding my bike off a ramp that I constructed out of a 2x4 and some bricks? Like, it's amazing I'm not dead. But that's kind of part of growing up. Like allowing, if you don't allow kids especially to make mistakes and learn from their mistakes, then you're producing a weaker and less prepared generation. And so like having the state intervene in all of this and just intervene in regular everyday living is wild. That is seems to be okay with people. Obviously not too many people because this did make national news. So
Right. That
all
reminds
right.
me of have you seen the movie Bubble Boy with what's his name? The guy that was in Brokeback Mountain. It's such a
Jake
bad.
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal. Have you seen that movie? I've seen that
No.
movie so many times. It's
Okay.
about a kid who grew up in like this like bubble like air bubble thing that his parents put him in because he had like a immune disorder. And one day he like got out of it and ran away. Because like he was afraid his mom would tell him like if you got out of here you would die. You know what I mean? But one day I
Yeah.
think he like saw like this pretty girl out the window and he was like, I gotta go, you know, see this pretty girl. And he got out and he was like surprised that he
Nice.
didn't die. And he was able to like have a crazy adventure. He was like all, you know, wide-eyed and like what do you call it? Innocent. And it was like a crazy adventure.
Yeah, I've never seen that movie. Yeah, sorry. My wife walked into the room and was asking me a question when you were talking.
No, it's okay. I didn't know if I should keep talking or
You
stop.
absolutely should. I don't
Okay.
know. She needed the post office key. So
Okay.
yeah, no, never seen that one. That does ring a bell though. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. So yeah. Yeah, it's just, the whole situation's absurd. And I was very happy that so many people attached themselves to that story. Yeah, let's go to the next clip we got. Pause it.
Oh, sorry.
From the moment
It's okay. Let's go back and then let's make it a little louder. Let's turn it
Okay,
up all the
gotcha.
way. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. So this
All right.
is Mark Swanson.
Sweet.
This is like the first clip I ever made for the
Sweet.
podcast.
Okay. Can you give us an update
Oh
on
wait,
what's
that's not it.
happening?
1, 2, 3. Okay.
Can you give us an update on
No?
what's happening?
Hold on, I just had it.
When they took you off to
Oh, maybe this one's the next one. Okay, sorry. This one's Jennifer Williams, right?
Yeah, this is Jennifer Williams. Can you give us an update on what's happening with the Tims?
Yes, they were looking at 80 years in prison for a crime that never occurred because they were seeking help for their baby, their medically fragile baby. They were arrested. They were indicted through a grand jury. So they had their criminal trial and they got a unanimous not guilty verdict from their jury.
There we
for
go.
every single charge. It was scary. You don't know what people are thinking. So every day when people wanted updates, like, what do you think the jury's thinking? I'm like, I don't know what the jury's thinking. Like, I know the truth and I can see the facts. And they had amazing attorneys and they had a beautiful, fair judge, the kind of judge that was meant to be a judge. Suzanne Smith.
That's awesome, because you definitely don't always get that. I imagine the moment right before the verdict was read, that's got to be one of the more intense moments, to be sitting there waiting to know if you're going to be going to jail.
I don't know how in the world they held their composure.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that was about the Tim's case here with DFACS here in Georgia, which is basically Child Protective Services. And they took the Tim's kid away from them because they thought some child abuse pediatrician said that they were abusing their child. And so there had to be a whole investigation. Turns out they weren't. Their kid had a medical disorder where it was very easy for them to be injured, super easy for them to be injured. And so in the end, the Tims got their child back, but it was like 2 years later. It was horrible. And these kinds of things happen all over the state of Georgia. And there are definite signs of some type of manipulation of the system, and kids tend to disappear in this system as well. And there's lots of rumors and allegations as to what happens to those kids. But fortunately, best case scenario in this particular circumstance, considering who all was involved, the Tims got their kid back and are now a restored family, which is phenomenal. Yeah. What'd you think of? Did you know about any of the Child Protective Services stuff happening in the state of Georgia before this whole episode?
Not really. On a personal note, actually, DFACS did good for me. So honestly, I never heard about that. But obviously, like, you have done a lot of interviews with Jennifer and Gretchen and others who have, pointed out many cases where it hasn't gone well. So obviously, there are good things that happen, but also just because, there are good things that happen doesn't mean it's always good, and that we should just let the bad happen and let the corruption happen.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's go to the next one.
Nobody told me from the moment I was arrested until I sat in jail for 3 hours, nobody told me what law I broke. And it wasn't until I signed my bail receipt that I realized the charge that they arrested me for. And it was violating OCGA, which is Official Code of Georgia Annotated. It's our law, 161134. The A in OCGA stands for annotated. That means that the law actually has notes under the law, and I read the first annotation, and it says unconstitutional. The Supreme Court actually called that law an absurdity, struck it down, and instructed anybody who was charged with violating this law, those charges are to be immediately dismissed. You know what? To this very day, those charges are still out there.
Yeesh. So that was Mark Swanson. That was episode 82, talking about his interaction with his county, him trying to bring something forth to the city council, and him getting arrested at the podium, and them not allowing him to speak, which is a violation of the Second Amendment, as well as a bunch of other statutes and laws from the state, federal level. And he's one of the biggest folks fighting for reform in this regard in the state of Georgia. He's a dynamo. He's working with a whole bunch of people and making good headway. So I would highly recommend going to check out that episode. It's 82. That was back in, when was that? That was back in March. Episode 82, challenging our servants. Because
we should have him back on.
I'd love to have him back on. Yeah.
Because isn't he suing?
What's that?
Isn't he suing?
Yes.
That county? Mhm.
Yeah. Broward County, I think. I can't remember which county, but yeah, I would love to have him back on. I'm sure he has updates for us and could give us a little more insight into what's going on. Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one.
Oh, so the last two are both of Ike Skelton.
Nice. All right.
People really liked the flock camera conversation. So
Okay.
yeah, that one got us like the most buzz, I think, out of all of our videos. Because I think people
Okay.
just don't like being tracked and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But people were getting like in the comments like pretty like heated because people are like protection, safety, no freedom, there's all those back and forths in there.
Yeah, that's the debate. Yeah.
What these things do is they're automatic license plate readers. Not only does it look for the vehicles of potential criminals, they take a picture of everybody, everything that goes by them. They take a picture of it and they store it in a database. The government does not operate the cameras. That's all done by Flock. The database is stored by Flock, but the law enforcement has access to that database. They can look through that database and not only find those few people that maybe they have warrants for, but they can start tracking anybody they want to, finding where you've been, where you've gone, and they don't even have to have a warrant to do that.
That is completely unconstitutional, against our natural rights. It's not okay for that to happen. Yeah. I mean, exactly what I said right there. Not okay. They can't be doing that. That's insane that the government has hired out a third-party company to collect data on every single move you make in a vehicle around the entire United States, and there is virtually no recourse against it. There's virtually no to fight against it. You don't get a day in court if you want to challenge it. The company basically tries to force you to pay the fine and then move on. And we've had a whole bunch of people on the show talking about this. And the biggest one who's making the most headway in Georgia is James Dutton. But Ike Skelton is up in, we said Indiana, right?
Indiana, yeah, I think so.
I think
No,
it's
that doesn't sound
Indiana.
right.
Doesn't
I
sound
thought it was
right.
like Missouri.
Yeah, that could be. Yep. Camden County, Missouri. You're right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And he was your favorite.
Whatever. Oh. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the flock cameras, and like because there is that debate of whether or not it provides a service by the police being able to track down criminals versus it's a complete violation of privacy and the right to travel and all that kind of stuff. So what are your thoughts on that?
I just don't know how we're gonna like reverse it. I don't know like if people care enough to, get rid of all of those cameras
Yeah.
and how many. 'Cause I don't know. It's a hard conversation because obviously like you don't want people to, get away with kidnapping and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
easy to find them if you have their license plate, you see where they came from, stuff like that. But obviously, like, yeah, it is such a hard conversation. I mean, me personally, I think we shouldn't have them, like at all. But
Yeah.
like obviously people can make the argument that, it has its benefits and to them it's the cons like outweigh the pros. Or sorry, excuse me. The pros outweigh the cons.
Right. Yeah, I think what happens is the more fear of other that is preached and instilled into the citizenry, so us and our fellow citizens, I think the more likely the majority of those people are going to make fear-based decisions and wanting cameras watching everything you do so that you can catch the 0.51% of criminals is a fear-based decision. It's not a logical decision. It's not a decision that is made based around what is actually good for you in the long term. It's a fear-based decision around something that will not benefit you the vast majority of the time, whereas not having them around in the long run will benefit you far more. It is very strange trying to convince people to advocate for their own natural rights. Like that's such a weird position to be in, but that's kind of what the Libertarian Party does, is like, these are like what our natural rights are. Like you should be, you should have your own privacy on your own property, in your own property, that kind of thing. You should be able to start your own business without paying a license fee to the government. Like all these things you should be able to naturally do because that's our natural state of being. But trying to convince people of this, you wouldn't think it would be that hard of a task, but it is an extremely difficult task to do. And I think it's just because of how much indoctrination and propaganda we've been fed for, hundreds of years, probably at this point. Definitely a lot in the past 40 years, 30 years.
And also, there's not many stories yet of people really getting like taken advantage of with the surveillance, because like surveillance is, or at least this type of surveillance is so new. And so there's not really concrete examples that people can like their family members, you know, getting harmed by this kind of stuff. So it's like it's hard to imagine for them that it's that big of a deal. Like like getting kidnapped, or you know, someone stealing from you. That's something that's more tangible to them than like, oh, the government's spying on me. I mean, I guess, you know, yeah, because you can't really see the person, you know, on the other side with the headphones like spying on you, you know. But you see all the time people like robbing and stealing and kidnapping.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, I guess it's a matter of trying to make it tangible and like very relatable and obvious. So I guess that's probably on us for not coming up with a better way of pitching that to folks. So all right, let's go to the next clip.
I've always been concerned about government overreach. When I got into office, I found out that this camera existed. It was brought to me by a citizen. I didn't really even know what flock cameras and automatic license plate readers were. And I started looking into it more, and I realized that, wow, this is nothing more than a very effective surveillance system that, if fully implemented across the country, they will be able to track every single American anywhere you go at any time they want to, for any reason they want to track you. And you'll never know it's being done.
Yeah, it astounds me that somebody can watch that clip and not come to the conclusion of this is terrifying. It's wild that people think constant surveillance of your actions is somehow makes you safer. Like in a tiny way, it may, but the opportunity for abuse and misuse and just evil deeds to be done with that information is outrageous. It far outweighs the good things that could come from them constantly surveilling you. And like I feel like people only want this kind of thing when their team is in charge, when their team is in power. And then as soon as it goes to the other team, they're like, no, we got to get rid of this stuff. This is exactly what happened with the flock cameras recently. Democrat cities have been shutting down flock cameras because ICE has been using them to target illegal aliens in the country. And so you see this insane reversal where Republicans are now saying, we need to turn the flock cameras back on, which Republicans used to be against it and Democrats used to be for it. And now it's flip-flopping because, oh, now who's in charge? It's the new team that's in charge. So we have to go against it. This is why having actual principles is a much better way to live your life, especially when you're involved in a political party or voting. If you're a voting member of society, have principles, don't have a team. Like that's what I got to say about that. Like it's all of these things can be used against you at any given time if somebody comes into power that believes the exact opposite of what you believe. And that's exactly what happens regularly every 4 years or every 8 years.
Yeah, I think it's weird how often it flip-flops. And I feel like it flip-flops so much more often like nowadays than it used to. Like how quickly it went went from vaccines being being anti-vax was a liberal issue. And then now it's a conservative issue. Like I think that's so weird. And then it's really weird to think like how you can have like a conversation with like an older person who was like completely like against anti-vax people and like kind of like look down upon them, and then now they can have this conversation about like being more wary about vaccines, and it's just weird to look at them and see how they can switch their opinion and not really mention, or even when you do mention that they were completely, they thought the completely differently 15 years ago, that they kind of shrug it off. Like, well,
yeah, it's so wild. I don't understand the flip-flopping, and it is the principle thing. It's just being on a team and feeling like your team has to win because the other team is trying to destroy what you believe in. And that's not at all the case. Mostly people are just out for themselves. No one's trying to destroy things. They're just trying to make things better for themselves. And so if you have some principles to base your decisions off of, you're going to become a far more consistent human being. You're going to be able to live far more harmoniously with the people around you, and things are going to be far less tense and fear-based. And I just think I don't know how we get to the point where we don't have just two massive teams in this country, but it should, if we can push it the other direction, that would be it would make our country much better, I believe. I don't know. It just drives me crazy. So, all right. Well, let's get into some of the comments from some of these videos. These are all clips you can find on our YouTube channel, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can also watch our YouTube. Yeah, obviously, for sure, YouTube. YouTube is not the best platform, by the way, for our channel. YouTube,
like shorts or like for the actual videos.
The shorts do well on YouTube. The actual videos don't do well on YouTube. They do great on Rumble and they do great on Twitter. So if you want to watch and actually interact with people who watch the show regularly, go to Rumble. It has far more views than YouTube does. Like we get thousands of views on some of our episodes on Rumble, whereas YouTube, I don't know, YouTube tends to dislike us. I mean, we've gotten so many strikes over the years just for saying certain things, so I have a feeling that has something to do with it. But yeah, let's get into some of the comments for some of these guys and we'll address them.
Okay, so most of these, like the first 10 are all about the flaw cameras.
Okay, so this is Truth Seeker. Great one. Truth Seeker. Anarchy says start removing everyone's license plates in protest. Couldn't agree more. There are folks out there who are doing this. There are folks out there who will not apply for a driver's license, don't have license plates on their cars. And what they do is they become incredibly familiar with the arguments, both constitutionally and based on state laws, against having to being forced to have a license plate and a driver's license, which I'm not well versed on. I don't know what the full-on arguments are in order to convince a cop not to give you a ticket, but there are people out there like that. I forget one. There's a libertarian who's pretty famous for this, but he lives without a driver's license or ever registering his vehicle or a license plate, and he travels all over the country. I don't know how he does it, but he does, and it's definitely doable. So I'll try to figure out. What's that?
Where does he live?
Good question. He contacted me. I think he wants to come on the show at some point, so we'll probably have him on the show soon. But I'll try to put a link to his website down in the comment section for this episode so that y'all can go check that out. But yes, start removing your license plate and protest, but only if you're willing to suffer the consequences. Also try to learn the arguments against being forced to have a license plate, because it's idiotic. Yeah. What's the next one? Oh, geez, there's a whole interaction.
Yes.
All right.
There's so many of them.
All right. I'm going to be Hank. You're going to be Tyler Bobo 6. Hank says, if this was used to protect people, so many children would not be being abused, and so much would be different if evil people didn't have control of these technologies.
Good excuse to take freedoms away that millions died for.
Good excuse. Saving children who are being sexually abused is not an excuse. That's a reality. Our country is full of people abusing children more than any other country. Let that sink in.
Okay, pause. Is that true? In any other country?
There's just no way. There's no way that's true. I mean, it could potentially be true, but let's be real, it's probably not true. Anyway, keep going.
I think it could be handled with a pedophile open season.
Goodness gracious. It's very much not an excuse, but you must believe that abusing children is okay to call it an excuse for it to be such a little problem to use the phrase of excuse. Goodness gracious, this guy's English is atrocious. You're one of those people, I'm sure, that hear the conversation and say, oh yeah, everybody's doing it. Okay. Hank, I see your original point. Yes. In this tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of what happens to people in this country, the flock cameras would be beneficial. However, the vast majority of people in this country are not committing crimes, are not evil, are not out there trying to mess with kids. And
except for
those people, and those people do not deserve to have their privacy violated and their every action they take watched, recorded, and archived to be used later. You could make an argument. Now, I still don't agree with this, but you could make an argument that if we could see the software, if it was an open source software and it deleted every bit of data after like a week or a day or a month or whatever, you could make the argument that that is a far better system. And I don't know if I would. I mean, I would still be against it, but there are things that I have to make my peace with, just being a libertarian and believing certain things that are just never going to change or just take a very long time to change. So there are options for making the flock system more tolerable to people who advocate for freedom, because this isn't it. Like, just having cameras running 24/7 to a third-party company that keeps the data and doesn't allow you to have your day in court if you're getting a ticket or what have you, that's not okay. Like that nothing about that.
Would you be okay with if let's say like only felons had certain type of license plates that they would be only tracking them? If that makes sense?
No, I would definitely not be okay with that. Have you ever read the book 3 Felonies a Day?
Mm-mm.
Okay, you're a felon. Every single human in this country is a felon. You commit on average 3 felonies every single day just by living your everyday life. So
could you name one? Because I'd like to know which ones I'm committing.
I read that book like 5 years ago. I don't remember, but it's an average, and there are an astounding number of laws that are still on the books that would make you right now a felon. And it's not, there's a famous quote by, I think it was a Russian KGB guy back in the day, Soviet KGB. He said, "Find me the man and I'll show you the crime," which basically means, whoever it is, they've committed something. And so if you want that man, we can take him down. Okay. So it's not a matter of just like tracking the felons, because by that logic, every single person in the United States would be a felon at some point in time. Because laws get outdated, laws get broken, laws get repealed. People don't know what laws are on the books. Not all laws get prosecuted, or not all crimes get prosecuted. So that wouldn't be a good solution. Also, what are they a felon for? Like, there's felonies that are completely not harmful to society. And then there are felonies like assault and battery and child abuse and stuff like that, where I'd be more okay with having a special license plate for like pedophiles. Like, I'd be more okay with that. But then again, there are people who have been convicted of like sex crimes, child crimes against children that didn't. There was a guy who got a felony for, at like 1 a.m, urinating on a playground, on a kid's playground with no kids present, but now he's a sex offender. So like, where's the line? Who makes that line? How many times is that line going to be crossed inappropriately? How many times are they going to get it completely wrong? And it's going to destroy somebody's life. Like, it's going to happen far more often than them catching somebody who is actually committing these crimes. And yeah, that's all I got to say.
Next one.
Let's go to the next one. Sometimes just talking doesn't work. I wish people would use punctuation again. Let's bring back commas, semicolons, colons, and periods. Let's just bring back those things. Maybe some dashes here and there. Sometimes just talking doesn't work, comma, not with these politicians anyway. People need to take to the streets. And then the response is, we did take it straight to the government one time, but apparently it was a bad thing. I don't know what.
Okay. So this one was in response to Brian talking to, but I mean, I didn't really understand, because this was like a local issue about the Cop City.
Yeah.
And this was the video where he was talking about how like they had the petition against it being built, and there was supposed to be like a referendum or something, and that didn't happen. And he was talking about how that was unconstitutional and all that.
Yeah,
these guys took it too far
though. Yeah, so I mean, Patrick's right. Sometimes just talking doesn't work with these politicians. People need to take to the streets. Take to the streets. I don't know how effective most protests are. Like, some of these protests are completely useless. They don't change a dadgum thing.
Yeah, and sometimes there are people that show up that literally like escalate it so far that it does the complete opposite. It makes it
Yeah.
seem like, the people protesting are, radical and
Yeah,
just
they can be
really
co-opted,
illogical.
they can be manipulated. Like there's what's the whatever, I can't remember a specific term, but yeah, these things are not always indicative of the actual things that the core crowd is actually trying to advocate for. So I don't know. Sometimes just talking doesn't work. You're right. This is why, like, I make documentaries, I make podcasts. I try to get more and more people to see what is going on in relatable ways with relatable people, compelling stories, and like demonstrating why half these things are incorrect and wrong, and we should change the laws in the state and the country. So yeah, I mean, I think action is always better than words, but that doesn't mean protests are all that effective. Like, there have been a few over the years that have been super effective, but they're the vast minority. All right.
So this one was about Ike Skelton.
Okay. Okay. So the Savvy Travel Hub says you are in government. So who is they? Well, for one, government, there are dozens of different kinds of government. There's your local city government, there's your county government, there's your state government, there's your federal government, there's all the bureaucracies that are scattered throughout. I mean, there's something like 500 bureaucratic organizations in the federal government, most of which you've never heard of and you would have no idea existed, but they do stupid things that are useless. So saying you are the government, so who is they, is I mean, it's a strong, like, it's an incorrect question. Like, he isn't the government. He is trying, you can fight something from within. So him being part of his local government is a good thing if he's actually fighting for more freedom and more liberty for these people. So he is a county city council member. Dadgummit, why can I not remember what his actual title was?
Yeah, I think that's what he is. Yeah.
The county commissioner of Camden County, Missouri. And he is fighting against the federal and state governments. So he is a tiny, tiny government fighting against two much larger oppressive governments. And that's okay. That doesn't make him the same thing as the state government and the federal government. That's the answer to that question. That's an easy one. Stupid question, Savvy Travel Hub. Do some thinking. Jonathan Mills says, zero expectation of privacy in public. You can be filmed and tracked with zero permission. It's covered under the First Amendment. Not true. Not true at all. There are so many states that require two-party consent. So many states. It depends on the state. It completely depends on the state. You do have, you can have expectation of privacy in public, and it depends on what you're talking about. Like, you can't record audio of somebody in Montana without telling them that they're being recorded. And that is a state law protecting privacy in this state, protecting your rights in the state. And so
when I'm doing my work, so I do a lot of promotion work, and I, go take pictures of people like out, and like I have to tell people because it's not going on like social media or anything. But if it's going on social media, like I have to tell people, and like if the company that I work for was gonna post it, they would have to get like a written like consent to post the content that I get on while I'm working.
Without a doubt. I shoot documentaries. If I don't get them to sign something saying I can use their name, image, and likeness on camera, then I have to blur their face every time. So this is not, you do have expectation of privacy in public. It's just not the same as if you're on private land. If you're on private land, depending on where you are, like if you live on a busy street, if you're in your front yard, you don't have expectation of privacy. Like that's just how it is. Like, but it's still your land and you can do whatever you want. Or you should be allowed to do whatever you want on your own land. But when you're in public, you do have a reasonable expectation of privacy, and that reasonable, I mean, it depends on local laws, state laws. But that is not the idea that you don't have any privacy in public because of the First Amendment is stupid. That's a bad argument, and one that can be disproven with like the most cursory Google search. Just search privacy laws in different states, and like what I think people misunderstand is somehow the federal government is the end all be all of lawmaking, whereas what should be happening is the states, and this is how our government was set up, the states have more power over their citizens than the federal government. The federal government was only there to protect people's constitutional and natural rights. That's the only reason the federal government ever existed to begin with, was for that specific purpose and nothing else. It was up to the states to determine how their citizens were treated, and it was up to the citizens to vote on that. And so each state went their own route with all these different things. Montana's a two-party consent state. I know California is. I don't know about all the states. I don't live there. I don't do my research on all these. Georgia is not. Georgia is not a two-party consent state. You can record somebody's audio, but you cannot publish it in like a documentary format or a podcast format or what have you. So there's just a whole bunch of laws that would disagree with that statement. Just a whole bunch of practical life examples as well. So let's go to the next one. Oh boy. Flock helps catch criminals. The average Joe is simply not important or interesting enough for law enforcement or anyone else for that matter to track. They don't care that you left town to cheat on your wife. They care that the guy in the car next to you is wanted for murder. Jared.
So this is a long conversation. So you want to, or not long, but like there's a back and forth with him and one other person.
Oh, I don't need to see
I couldn't fit it in this slide. Okay.
Oh, is it on the next? Oh, geez. Goodness gracious.
So basically the other person is saying like, yeah, but you know, the cops can, you know, do illegal searches of those, like they can track you without a warrant if they wanted to.
Yep.
And then he's like, well, that's illegal and that doesn't happen. And another person's like, yeah, it does.
It absolutely does.
And he's like, just because it's illegal doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Oh, and then Truth Seeker. Oh, he's here. He's in here too.
Oh yeah, Truth Seeker. How about that? 99% of people are not criminals, and I would rather take my chances with criminals than trust law enforcers and a corrupt justice system. Criminals cost far less than law enforcers, judges, and courts. Gosh, I like this Truth Seeker guy. He's great. Completely agree. Completely agree. Dadgum. Just the first comment was, go back to the first one. The one before this. Yeah. Let me reread it real quick. Okay. Jared, you thinking that people aren't interesting enough for law enforcement to track, that's just your tiny little opinion, and then you can have a plethora of reasons why a law enforcement officer would want to track somebody's whereabouts during the day, or at any given point in time. There's unending situations where this is just could be abused and manipulated and taken advantage of. And cops are people just like everybody else. They have their own personal vendettas. They have their own idea of what they think is right. They have their own beliefs. all of this can be used on a personal level by every single person in law enforcement. Like that, it's just a bad argument. And you can go back and listen to all the things I've already said this episode about this. So yeah, let's go forward 2 slides. Let's see.
And here's
Hank
another
said,
argument.
yeah.
Oh, is this the same one? Okay, sorry.
Oh, it's all good. Meditating monkey says, they know where you are and what you're doing every minute of every day. The black mirror in your hand tells all. I don't know if I disagree with you, meditating monkey. They definitely can. Your phone is easily trackable, easily traceable, easily hackable. They can. There are ways of getting into it. But if I put it in a Faraday sleeve and go out about town or go on a road trip, I shouldn't. It's impossible to track me without the flock cameras. So, yeah, I have the choice to keep one of these phones on me at all times. Like I don't have to, but that is my choice to have the phone around. The flock cameras, I don't have a choice whether or not those things go up. Simple as that. Cornelius says, this would bother me if I was a criminal. The thing that bothers me is when they sell my data to insurance companies and my insulates. I think insurance rates go up, whatever. Okay. I mean, I don't like that they sell data or give your data to other. I mean, private companies do this too. And it's an abomination and they don't tell you about it. And it's definitely getting far better. You being able to opt in or opt out of companies selling your data. I try not to do business with any company that sells my data. Because yeah, they can sell it directly to the federal government if they want. So I don't know about the insurance companies and the insurance rates or anything like that. So that's not something I'm familiar with.
Oh, you don't have insurance?
What? I have insurance. I have no idea if the state or flock sells my data to insurance companies.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think John Padfield was talking about that one company that gets data from apps and sells it to other companies. I forget what the name of that.
Yeah, there are companies like that for sure. Yep. Just be careful who you do business with and what apps you use and what websites you use. Do you remember which video this was in response to?
It was another one of Brian's videos.
Nice. Okay.
I think it was the same one about, no, I don't know. I forget which one. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Nara 87 says ranked choice voting would help independent and middle voter voices be heard until we get out of the two-party system. Limit on funds for those running would help. I agree with both of these things. Like ranked choice voting is not I don't believe in democracy in general, but ranked choice voting is a better form of democracy than what we currently have. It would definitely allow people to vote their conscience rather than the team that they feel like they have to vote for, because in the end, if you don't know how ranked choice voting works, I'm not going to go into the full explanation right now because it's not that complicated. But basically, there's a much bigger slate of people and it just kind of gets whittled down. And as people get eliminated, your second vote counts, or like you rank the people running rather than just voting for one. So you'd be like, this is my top candidate, second, third, fourth, fifth. And so you in an ideal world, you wouldn't end up with number 9 on the list, but you might not end up with your top, but then you have your second, third, and fourth in case you didn't want a certain person, you'd put them last. So ranked choice voting, huge improvement on the current system and is being advocated for pretty heavily in Georgia right now. And it's, I think Maine and
I think Alaska has it.
Does Alaska have it now? Okay. They both have ranked choice voting. There's another state that does too, and I can't remember who it is. But it's going pretty well.
It's not New Hampshire.
Right. Yeah, that is surprising. As far as limiting campaign money, 100%. Get money out of politics. Enough with this crap, and enough with like taxpayer money going to this stuff. Like the whole thing is absurd. It's a popularity contest for people who can befriend the most billionaires. That's basically what it comes down to a lot of the time. All right, next one. C-Dub says ranked choice voting typically elects leftists. It shouldn't work out mathematically, but that's the trend.
Okay, so I looked into this. The reason why it seems that it does is because most of the places that allow it are left-leaning.
That would be a good explanation. Yeah.
So yeah.
I personally don't think there'd be enough data right now to make this kind of statement. Yeah, I mean, if ranked choice voting is implemented mainly in left-leaning states or cities, then obviously it's going to be more leftists or lefties that are elected. But like, I don't care if someone's a lefty if they have decent principles and stand for certain things. Like, I want the most principled person who stands for freedom and liberty to be elected. I couldn't care less what party affiliation they have. If they're like, this is why I love Thomas Massey. He's a Republican, but he's got the best views on liberty and freedom there is in all of Congress for all of eternity. Like, no one in the history of Congress has been better than him. And he's a Republican and I'm not, but I would vote tomorrow every single day for him for president. Like, yeah. And he's a Republican. So.
Okay. So this video or this, comment was about, I think when we were talking about, the new, the guys that are running for governor who are also pushing for the elimination of income tax. And I said he could pull a Trump.
Okay.
And I love how this comment has aged so well because we still have the income tax.
We still have the income tax. Pull a Trump means, I guess, it'll get done. Is what I'm guessing this guy was meaning. Yeah, Trump doesn't do jack that he promised to do. And yeah, Cat was completely correct by pulling a Trump, meaning not following through on your promises. He followed through on a few at the beginning. And since then, he's been failing miserably, especially from a freedom and liberty perspective. I mean, what can you say? Like, y'all still have the income tax in Georgia. So that should be enough right there.
Has there been any like update on that? I feel like it was something that was kind of big in the news. And then now.
Yeah, nothing.
I gotta ask Brian about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this one was about when we were talking about AI taking like over jobs and stuff like that, and you were saying like, especially like with art and stuff like that, that it can't like emulate, you know, it doesn't have feeling and soul and everything. This guy's responding to your take.
Okay. So the bullet in the gun says he's so off in this take. It's literally made from what we've made. It can have heart and neither. It can have heart and neither of us have a soul. Don't understand that last bit, but it's literally made from what we've made is That's like saying, if you think a car, like we've made vehicles, they don't have a heart or a soul. Like, give me a break. This is a terrible argument. Just because humans created it, somehow it can have heart and soul, and that's a very bad argument. Like, how many, like, my house doesn't have heart and soul. It's a freaking building. When it comes to art, one, I have a probably much stingier definition of what art is compared to most people. Like, I would say like 95% of movies are not art. They're trash or just entertainment. They fall in two categories: trash or entertainment. But just because humans created it and something is made from what we produced does not mean that it can have the same essence or the same characteristics that humans have. Like, we're sentient. Like, we have thoughts and ideas and emotions and values and just a enormous amount of other facets to us. Whereas a piece of AI art is just an algorithm that someone put together that created some ridiculous thing on the page or on the screen or what have you. I use AI. I use it like a tool because it's just a tool. It's not art. It's something that can be used to benefit us in a whole bunch of different ways. Also, I think AI is a misnomer. I don't think any of this is AI. I think it's just algorithms that people made. I don't think there's any intelligence involved in it. It's like sentience or anything like that. I think it's just code. That's basically all it is. Someone designing some code to develop something and have.
I mean, that's what we are. We're just a bunch of code. DNA code.
In a way, we're a bunch of code. We're a bunch of code that can think illogically, think logically, have a whole bunch of different emotions, do things that are completely stupid and self-destructive, or do things that are incredibly beautiful. And yeah, I mean, we share characteristics. Do we share characteristics with AI? For sure. We also share characteristics with a monkey or a dog or a friggin' ant, or a piece of dirt. Like, we share characteristics with everything on Earth. That does not mean that AI has anywhere close to what we have within us. I believe we're created in the image of God, and AI is a very poor substitute, very, very poor creation of us trying to be God. That's what I think. Do we have any more comments?
Yes, we have one last one.
Let's go. Tommy says, F flock cameras. Gosh, Tommy, couldn't have said it better. That's the best way to talk about flock cameras. F them. Screw them. Go back and watch our episode, What the Flock, with Ike Skelton, as well as any with James Dutton and a few other folks on here. John Padfield, phenomenal episode. Go check out the one with John Padfield. That was, which episode was that? You remember? It was like recent.
90, yeah, 90 something. Or have we gone to the hundreds yet?
We're not in the hundreds yet. This is number 97 today. 95 was John Padfield. Your Life is Being Sold. So go check out that one because it was a great episode and he's awesome. His channel's enormous. Well, yeah, heck of an episode. This is our longest episode maybe ever, Kat. We're only going to edit out.
So prepared.
You did come very prepared. I appreciate that. The only thing we're going to have to edit out is you burping on screen. So that's great.
And you're going to have to edit this out too.
Nope. So y'all go back, rewatch the episode, and try to figure out where Kat burped on screen.
Y'all aren't gonna find it. You're
I evened it out. Well, Kat, I'm extremely happy that you were a part of the Free Georgia podcast. I'm very happy to have you as my co-host, and I can't wait for what we're going to do in 2026. We're going to grow this thing, and it's going to be a force for freedom and liberty, and it's going to be beautiful.
You know what? I've decided, I think I'm going to try really hard to be at like the convention all 3 days and get as much content and try to make something for the podcast. Because there's an after party on Saturday, and then there's an after party.
Is this the convention in Georgia or the national?
Yeah, the Georgia convention. So I've been trying to ask Brian about like what is really planned, and they haven't gotten everything settled yet.
Okay.
And it's kind of scary because it's in what, 2-3 weeks? Less than 3 weeks.
Yeah, that seems.
And they're like, there's a poker tournament, and I'm like, heck yeah, I love poker. Like, but they're like, there's not going to be a prize, and I'm like, no one's going to play if there's no prize. Like,
correct. I wouldn't play.
Exactly. So I was like, you need to get a prize, and he's like, well, gambling's illegal, and I'm like, well, you don't have to. I mean, he's like, you gotta, it's a fundraising thing, so people have to put money in, and if you're putting money in and then getting a prize, like that's illegal or whatever. But I feel like there's a way to do it. If the prize isn't money, though, can it be done legally?
That's a good question. Go
I'm
watch Molly.
fighting for that poker tournament. I'm fighting
watch
for
Molly's
that.
game.
What is that?
It's a movie. You'll
Okay.
You'll get some ideas because she
But that
ran.
doesn't tell me what the Georgia, laws are.
Go watch Molly's game. I can't remember how she got around this, but for like a decade, this chick ran the highest profile poker game in the United States. And it was not illegal, but it was in states that didn't allow gambling. It's a Jessica Chastain movie, and she's awesome in it.
If we did Bitcoin, you think that
would? I like this. If we did Bitcoin, let's talk after the show and discuss this later. But yeah,
I think the listeners would be so interested in this, though. But we'll save it.
Yeah, we'll do another episode before convention. We can talk about the poker game. Go to lpgeorgiaconvention.com to check out the LP Georgia Convention because it's coming up soon. It's in January, and it's a lot of fun, y'all. It's a great venue, great people, a lot of good stuff going on. It's 3 days of mostly excitement. And there, like any convention, there's some boring parts.
This is a big one. Like I'm excited about it, honestly.
Heck yeah. I wish I could be there for it. Sadly, I'll be up here working. So, Kat, what's one thing you're looking forward to in 2026 besides convention?
I'm looking forward to having John Padfield back on. Okay. I'm looking forward to having all the guests that I've missed throughout this year that want to come back on again. Having them come back on and me like being able to talk to them.
Nice.
I'm excited about that.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for that too. I'm excited to grow this channel on all platforms. I am super excited to go to national convention and have a setup where we do some live shows there. And we'll talk about that after we get off the air as well. So, yeah. Thank y'all so much for making 2025 a huge success for LP Georgia and for this show. We really appreciate everybody who comments, who subscribes, who interacts with us, and just who watches and listens to the show. So I think that'll be it for this episode, and we'll see y'all in 2026. Peace.